30 and honoring everyone's time, we will go ahead and get started. I do have 3 letters to read for owner comments, but before I read those, I want to see if anyone had any owner comments that are here.
Is this part where I say something? I'm not
Yes.
sure what this is.
You're
Hello, everyone. My name is Linda Stivers. I live on 623 Medina. And I just had 4 comments when I want to say, first of all, thank you to Vicki and the board, because when I had called about a couple of different things, she was quite efficient in calling me right back, which I thought was wonderful. The first comment is with safety, with the pools and the kids. And I know you guys, I've not really been here for 4 years. I was, we moved here 3 years and we were here 3 years before that. So, but I'm new. This is my first meeting with you guys. And I come to fill my laps almost every single day. And I come at different times during the day. The thing that I'm talking about with safety is we've got kids that are, I know you know what I'm going to say, they're sneaking in and crawling over and they're underage. And I've had to watch some kids. I've called about kids. And then the other part of this, besides the safety, is the absolute rudeness of these kids, which we can take this along with bicycles and the lanes and the sidewalks. But I am amazed at the rudeness of these kids and the things that they do on purpose for someone who's in their lane, not bothering anybody, and the things that they do. I know that I asked the young man that works with you guys, I don't remember his name, wonderful young man who travels between the pools, doing his job, and he's trying really hard to do his job, and they were not even very nice to him. But one day there were 2, like a 7 and 9-year-old, snuck in while the guy went out, he didn't show when they snuck in. They came in, I was the only one in the pool. And I worried, and I told these 2 little boys, I said, who are you with? And they said, my sister's coming. And I said, well, can you wait till she gets here? I'm trying to swim laps, I'm a mommy, and this will worry me to death. But I can't swim on laps if I'm worried about your day-to-day lives. And they waited. When the girl came, she was very young, she had a boy hanging on her shoulder, and it's very inappropriate. But I asked her how old she was, she was 14. So then when the man that works with you guys came in and he said, no, they don't have to be 12. So my comment is, I think whatever your rules are, it needs to be 16. If they're 16 to vote, I think they need to be 16. I don't think 12, 13, 14-year-olds should come in the pool by themselves because, first of all, I think a 12-year-old should be, but I think mom and dad were probably at work and she was responsible for her little brothers and let's go to the pool. So I don't know how you go about this, but you should discuss it, but I think it needs to be older than 12 who they can come into the pool unaccompanied. I think 16 is a fair thing. That's when they get their driver's license, and hopefully they'll have their brain cells working a little bit. As 12-year-olds babies. That's my first one. So the safety, we said that would take care of a lot of safety, and then also would hopefully take care, although a couple girls that were swimming were probably 14 or 15 years old. So that's my first thing. I don't think I have any comments or questions for me of that nature, but I'll try to go best. Second one is just a monetary thing. Is there any way that they could get new, there's just the 2 ropes right out here. The one rope is when the kids hang on them. The buoys are not even there, they're under the water. So ropes are not really expensive. If they could have a new rope with new buoys in it, that might also deter kids from wanting to hang on it so much so it doesn't get underneath the water. That will separate the people swimming their laps away from the other. Right. Third thing is, I don't know if the salt water's been fixed yet. I know it was broken, so they're gonna get it fixed.
They're in the process of trying to get fixed.
Okay, that would be great. And then the last thing is, I don't know if people are allowed to teach swimming lessons while they're in here. I don't know if you're teaching your own kid, that's fine. But I don't know if people are allowed, like a business, to teach swimming lessons. I don't know if that's allowed or not. I'm not asking to do it. I thought I saw someone doing it, which is kind of interfering with families. That was my only comment. So I know those are quick things. But does anybody have any questions for me because I talk so fast?
We recently, but I'll follow up. It's because
Yeah, the one lane, it was replaced out here.
Yeah.
But the other lane got the old buoys and they're
gotcha.
and there's pieces on the side of the one that are pretty sharp right now.
Yep.
There's no way to pick them off unless you crack it piece. So we just need all new buoys. We got 2 new ropes, only buoys on.
Gotcha. Thanks for everything.
It is, it's an easy,
They would just fix things.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope it helps, but like I said, I was very happy to be here and love our pools, love everything we get to do with Park and Rec. And it just would be a thing that I've watched some kids, like I said, I was telling Nikki, I called one day, these two young girls were jumping over this older lady's head, just jumping over her head. And the mommy and me wanted to go over it, I really did, you know, and I felt sorry for her. She was just there with her hat on, just trying to enjoy the pool. And she eventually left. Well, that's not what we want. You know, I don't want them to run over our sidewalks, and I don't want them to pick up our pool. They have to have respect and enjoy it with the rules that the rest of us are following. It was so possibly off.
Dory, I saw you raise your hand.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to come speak today. First of all, I want to say, hats off on that, group thing you had, Parks and Rec had here. It was a great turnout. I thought the comments were great, and I felt great afterwards when we left it. So many thoughts came, a lot like, her comments are, people are very kind of protective of our amenities and so on and so forth. So I thought that was a really good starting place, maybe we'll have another one, I don't know, but great, that was a great job.
Thank you. We're continuing part of it tonight, so I'm glad you're here.
That's great. The other thing was, is, as part of a special events, Debbie and I are on special events, as far as amenity goes, how many guests and so on and so forth. And currently it's 4 guests per pass, so on and so forth. And our special events lifestyle is going to be making our recommendation as to what works for us. And what works for us isn't going to necessarily work for you, and I think we are in agreement on that. So we're going to have to maybe have a line item, because like Marco has a sporting event, he may want to have people come, it's not limited, that's how he makes money. Same thing for us, is we offset a lot of our costs, and we change the prices based on how expensive it is for us, and how many people, based on the venue, based on CCFC, it's different than Lakeside, and so on and so forth. So if we can somehow coordinate that when we submit it, I think that would be a really good policy, because I know even capacity wise, if you're, I don't know, building this capacity 100, you can't have each person having orgasm. So I think that's something that we could, you know, if at some point in time we can get together, our groups, and just say, hey, here's what we're recommending, how's this work for you, and then make different ones based on the event. Okay, so next one is on Lakeside. We have lots and lots of tennis players, summer's here, lots of people out there playing tennis. Last month I asked please not to move the women's group to 7, because I knew that was going to happen. And we had people out there, whether they were teaching or not, they had their big baskets, their tennis rackets and so on, they're not, no one's abiding by the rules. Out there at 6:30 in the morning playing tennis, and I went by and I said, the park isn't open to 7. Rules are rules. They were like, looked at me like, whatever, kept playing. But not only, as I said last time, we had people playing tennis, we had playing soccer out there. We had a group, 2 people playing tennis, and they had 2 dogs running around, so it was a dog park, it's a soccer thing, they play football. It's crazy, and it's very, very hard to monitor. So as I said before, we need more monitors, because we, you know, our group does, you all do a fantastic job. I mean, and you are spread various things, so again, I think the board needs to look into getting more people there. So that was my fear, to have groups rather than walk-up tennis, 2 people playing at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now we have 20 people. And then the other day we had pickleball. We had 20 to 25 pickleball players on court 1, and court 2 had 2 people trying to play tennis. Well, guess what? That wasn't going well. And so, in pickleball, again, I have a list of people in the state of Florida and countrywide who said, homeowners association, you put pickleball on tennis court, not a good thing. It doesn't work. And I mean, this one lady says right here, says her lawsuit aims to ban pickleball from the community tennis courts and seeking $300,000 in damages for distress she's experiencing. Pickleball, yay or nay? Pickleball, neighbors against neighbors, players against players. It doesn't work. We have to, unfortunately, we had the funds that no one would have paid for, because it came out of a recreation fund. Instead of doing the right thing, we did what, I don't know, was acceptable to some Pickleball is a NIMBY sport. It needs to be someplace else. It needs to be up there. I mean, we don't have to do 100 courts, 4 courts. In residential areas, there was a statistic, there's 200 shots per 5 minutes. It doesn't work, even for the people that are playing tennis and trying to have a tennis game. So that's one thing, is I'd really like to see that if we can somehow figure out a way, match paint lines that are pickleball, keep pickleball and tennis, find a home for each pickleball player, 159% growing sport. I don't play either one. But this is just what I've read over time, and this has been going on. So, basically, do the right thing, go to the board somewhere. I mean, we have the funds available. We don't have to wait for the AD to come up with the funds supposedly work there. Also, last thing, 4th of July, as she was saying about these scooter things. I think this maybe go to CBD, but the scooter thing is a problem. We had 15 to 20 scooters on court 5 to 4 to 3, scooting around with electronic bike scooters somehow the 4th of July, and then they made their way up. And I think these are our amenities, and people, as she says, are not honoring them. And we pay a lot of money for these amenities, and I think that, again, if we could somehow, we had talked before years ago, locking these down somehow, put the gates. If you remember, we talked about that, somehow doing that to protect them, to protect our courts, to protect some of our amenities, because people are disregarding it. Definitely people that don't live there are playing still, but it's really hard to monitor that unless you have like a full-time monitor, and that's something we have to go to the board. But anyhow, we love our place, we love to see people having a good time. Thank you. Sorry.
That was a
I have to say.
I'm sorry, can I leave you the one?
Oh, no, I just had a comment to hers.
I know.
Let's pick, okay.
Do we have any other comments? Okay, I'm gonna start on the first of 3 letters. This was sent to Nikki on June 17th. I wanted to write to preserve the Advantage Tennis contract and early morning tennis availability. As a Celebration resident for over 20 years, I love our community, and this is a pivotal reason why. I will be out of town during the next meeting and unable to attend, so please read/share my letter. I've been doing tennis with Darren for more than 5 years. I work full-time, and early morning lessons on Wednesday and Friday are such an important part of my life. We do a 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., and then I'm able to be at work by 9. Nights don't work well as my work days and traffic are unpredictable to get here in time. I've tried to be a part of a women's group to play, but given their requirements, I'm unable to make it work with my career and family life. Darren and Advantage Tennis brought life to my early morning. It is a great and healthy way to start my day and has helped to lower my stress and blood pressure. The friendships I've developed with other Advantage Tennis students are incredible. The connection to our community has been an important blessing, as I find it hard to connect sometimes given my demanding career. Most of other students I take the lessons with are also residents. Courts reserved by Advantage are paid for, and this helps contribute funds to the community. Darren is diligent to work on his schedule in a way to maximize his offerings and minimize the impact to other residents. I feel like this is visited fairly often in meetings. I know we need more resources. I'm hopeful that Celebration continues to grow, i.e. Island Village. We require some additional amenities such as more tennis courts and adding pickleball. The demand is certainly there. Thank you, Christina Gamley, Arbor Circle. Then I have also written on June 17th to Nikki. Hi, Nikki. I'm a homeowner of a single-family house in Island Village, 2085 Celebration Boulevard. I heard that maybe there will be some changes in the schedule to tennis classes that are being discussed by Recreation Committee. I wanted to ask you how I can send my opinion about that, because I'm taking lessons with Advantage Tennis starting at 7 a.m., sometimes at 8 a.m. Sorry, I'm getting a call. Sometimes at 8 a.m. because that helps me to be available to start work at 9 a.m. I don't want to be limited to take classes in a different schedule because it complicates a balance between work and sports and living at Celebration. Thank you, Juan Carlos Lugon, Lugon. Then the last letter is June 18th. Hi, Nikki. My name is Trisha Augon, Augon, and I have been a member of Celebration Community for over 20 years. And during my time here, I've fallen in love with tennis and our beautiful tennis courts in town. I feel lucky to be a part of the tennis community and often take lessons with Darren at 7 a.m. before the hectic part of the day starts. I'm writing to highlight the importance of having the tennis courts available early in the morning. For many of us who work, the early hours are the only opportunity we have to enjoy a game before heading into a busy day. Morning tennis not only keeps us fit, but also sets a positive tone for the rest of the day. It would be a shame to see the courts not getting used to their full potential early in the morning with group play. Thanks for your support and trying to continue to make this possible, and to the Recreation Committee, Trisha Augon. Those are the 3 letters without any other comments, and we do have enough for a quorum. I would like to call to order the meeting. First, I'm going to ask everyone to look at the agenda and see if we have a motion to adopt it. Because we are doing the brainstorming discussion based on the past meeting, I'm going to ask to flip-flop these. I'm going to ask to go through the contracts first because I feel like we can knock those out and then use any remaining time to chat rather than feeling we have a cutoff on that. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Do we have a motion to proceed with the agenda, flip-flopping 1 and 2 on action items? Second? Those in favor? Aye. Okay. So with that, we'll start with the recreational contract extensions until December 31st. I do want to point out this is something that the Recreation Committee's had to do a couple of times, and it's basically because of the unknown of town hall. Now we know a bit more of what's going on, but we don't know when we're going to get it back. So this is a request to extend all of them through calendar year of 24, with the exception of flag football. Flag football's, the NFL plays 60 is in the middle. So they start December and go through ending in like the first, second week of March before spring break there. So we would let that one particular contract play through March. The other thing I want to highlight in the contracts that are here are Celebration Little League. This is only in regards to CROA facilities. In this case, Celebration Little League has their own contract with the 2 ball fields that belong to Celebration K-8. This does not include that. Instead, this does include some of the practices that are being done over by the circle pool off East Lawn there. So that's what their contract would refer to as having access to that. Do we have any discussion, questions, or comments in regards to the contract extensions for Aqua Yoga, Irish Dance, X Factor Dance, Family Fitness, Celebration Little League, Celebration Flag Football, Celebration Phoenix Lacrosse, and Celebration Dog Training? Go right ahead.
So as far as the extension, after we're done with this workshop, August through October, our goal is to work on the scope of work for all these contracts. So 2025, like we were mentioning, the clubs will all have a contract. The support groups will all have a contract, and the recreational sports or programs will all have a contract. That is black and white because some of these contracts are gray areas to the point where people are submitting records requests. And it's like, why do you have this in the scope of work? So I wanted the Recreation Committee members to fully review, have an opportunity to review the contract scope of work before it goes to the board group.
So that's why this extension is just like this right now. Without any questions or comments, do we have a motion to extend the contracts till December 31st? With the exception of Celebration Flag Football, we would go through the middle of March. Motion. Catherine, all those in favor? Unanimous. Okay. All right, then we're going to move back to the brainstorming discussion with the community. So when all was said and done, we had 144 post-its, which I thought was really good. So 144 ideas that came in from the community. If you look at the second page of your packet, we took those 144 post-its. Oh, yeah, please, there's another one. Please. When we looked at those 144 post-its, the goal was to clump them into categories. So for instance, the one that had the most amount of requests for were park monitors. And anything that had to do with the park monitors got looped into that, whether you asked for additional training, whether you asked for multiple park monitors at Lakeside, whether you just asked for more monitors, period. Anything that had to do with park monitors was the top one at 14, which was 10% of all that was taken. So I think that's a pretty request for the community. Followed up by that was 11 requests for enforcement. This would be for any, I put a penalty for misuse of the facilities, whether you're hopping the fence, whether you are giving my pass away so you can use it and bring more people, even though I'm not really there. Whether you have an expired pass, all whatever it may be that we would come up with. A tiered system, like the first time, if you do A, then you get penalized with X. If you do it again with B, then you get Y. If you do it again with C, then you lose your pass for a year, whatever it is. But a tiered system as a way to enforce, we just don't feel that there's any cause and effect right now. That was pretty much the story that was given. The third most requested had to do with guests per the CROA ID. So per Dory's comments earlier, whether that was suggested that we move to 2 guests per CROA ID or 4 guest passes per address. At the time, as a recap, that means I have my address, each person in my family has their ID to get in, but we have 4 guest passes for the address so that I could go to the pool with my friend, my son could take another guest pass and go to the tennis court with a friend or whatever, but it's 4 guest passes to be used property-wide. There's also additional discussion if there's a charge for additional guest passes and you could get so many, 10 extra per year or something like that per address. So that was part of that discussion there. Tied with guest passes was, excuse me, a reservation app for all facilities. So if you want to play at the tennis court Tuesday at 2:00 in the afternoon, you would put in a reservation, you would have it from 2 to 3. If you want to be at the gym and be able to use this equipment at this time from 3 to 4 on Wednesday, you would put it in for that. So there was an app for what that looked like. Same with the possibility of what that would look like for the facility behind the dog park and library for those fields, as well as it was talked about the possibility of using a baseball field if we came to an agreement with the school. So that was that reservation app. Those 4 were really the biggest requests. Followed by that was adding a fence with a place to swipe your CROA ID to enter and a timer for tennis courts. There were 6 requests for that. There were also 6 requests in regard to security and asking to have a designated Osceola sheriff in this area. I also added into that increased security at 9 p.m. There was multiples that said we wanted additional security patrolling at night. 9 p.m. was on one post-it, so that's the time that I put. But I combined those together of additional security and nighttime security. Then there was also under the thinking of enforcement, more signage on all amenity. What are the rules? What are the hours? What is the code of conduct? And that was brought up for the gym, that was brought up for the pools, that was brought up for tennis, that was brought up for basketball. So pretty much I just put all amenities rather than highlighting certain ones. And there was 5 requests for that. I'm gonna go through the next that had 4. We called it the cruise chair rule, that there is a time limit for amenities. So you couldn't put your towel on a cruise chair and be gone for the day and come back and have your cruise chair. So the cruise chair rule would kind of apply the same for the tables at the pool or just time limits for anything. I know we have time limits right now at the tennis courts. The thought was kind of using that best practice and applying it to others. There was also a request for fence around barbecues all over town. And again, so you would need your CROA ID kind of swipe to get in. And then the last one was some type of designated alert, whether that be a special shirt or a sign for any CROA authorized partner program. So if Advantage Tennis is playing, they would have a fluorescent yellow shirt that, I mean, I hate to say this, but like country clubs do, you know who their staff is, it would kind of recognize staff. So the same would be if someone's training in the gym, or there's a gym class being led in the North Pavilion, you know who that is, and this is PROA authorized. There was also a suggestion, instead of a shirt, whether there would be a sign that you would carabiner onto something somewhere. So just some way to recognize that if I'm walking by and there's something going on, I know this is ordained by the town and totally allowed to be doing it. And the same, we even talked like about a visor possibly for swim lessons. So like when you asked about are those swim lessons part of what the town has, you would know because they would have that visor on. So those were your top that had at least 4 Post-its or above. There were a couple more with 3s, a couple more with 2s, and a lot of them 1s. You will also notice that I think the number was 30 something. In the bottom, it says master plan. These were all requests for things that wouldn't fall under Park and Rec. So it would fall under master plan. So when it comes to requesting a dedicated resident baseball field or community center, or adding more tennis courts, or adding more basketball courts, or adding pickleball courts in, or outdoor pavilions, gyms, whether it be indoor or outdoor, community garden, measurements for the trail, like we walked a mile on the trail, and last, a skate park. Those don't fall within our scope, but they will be presented. Mike Moda is stepping in as the representative from the rec committee to participate with the master plan. So he will have this in intent to bring that to the next meeting. So that's a summary of where we landed. I do want to bring it up for the discussion and looking at anything that has 4 or higher, what we feel is low hanging fruit. Because if it's something that's low hanging fruit, I would love to propose it to PROA and say, hey, we can implement this now. It'll make a difference for our community. And then what isn't low hanging fruit, I want to let PROA at least know this is what we're working on. For instance, adding park monitors. We can write out what we think we would want, but we don't know what that exact cost is. So we would need to work with Nikki and Grand Manners at that point to eventually say to PROA board, this is what we think we need. This is what we think to truly monitor the pools. We should discuss whether that's a park monitor, whether that's a lifeguard, whether that's a monitor that is always at Lakeside or always in North Village or whatever it is, so that they begin to become familiar with the people that are there. The faces become familiar, and it's a little bit easier on a park monitor than trying to regulate the whole town. So I'm going to go back to, of those, are there any low hanging fruit? The park monitor is not. The enforcement, I think we need to vet that out a little bit. We could get that done. The guest per PROA ID or guest passes per address. I do think we should have a powwow with special events and get more discussion around that and what that looks like. Because I also want to try and streamline it as much as possible so that it's easier for town to maintain. And so I think the more input we get on that, the better. The app is something that I know the tech committee is working on, so we can powwow with them. Adding a fence, that's not cheap. We would need to get some quotes on that. Security, we talked about Mayberry's, the current security team that we have now. I don't know what it would look like to ask for additional sheriff coverage in this area. If there's an additional cost, we would talk through that.
Well, as it is now, I don't think Mayberry even comes to our village, so they would have to be included in that too.
Okay. Signage, to me, that's low hanging fruit. That's like the one that's really low hanging fruit. We could discuss where we wanted signage, what it looked like, what we wanted on it. I feel like we could propose that pretty quickly. Time limits, I don't know what that looks like. Again, more fencing. And I do think the special shirt / signage is low hanging fruit. So I feel like there's 2, in my opinion. I want to open it up for discussion that we could easily propose before the PROA board in their meeting. I'm going to open it up for discussion.
Well, I think the shirts and that are authorized is a great idea. It readily identifies those people who are supposed to be there. There's no question in anybody's mind.
And is that something that the town would pay for and give to each? I mean, I feel that if we're asking for it, we should pay for
Personally,
it.
I say yes.
Yeah, if they register, they can sure.
If they're a partner program in this case, yeah.
But so if you look at this just really quickly,
Yeah,
4 of the 33 line items, 14 of them, a monitor or slash security covers. It's kind of a no-brainer. You know, we need,
Yeah.
it's 14 of 33.
Yep.
So, and most of the are the top items, so the park monitor slash security covers the top 10, 9 of the 10.
yep. Like I said, that was 10% of the postings, yeah.
And we should have at the pools, I think a lifeguard should be there, not just a monitor.
Okay. Well, if the lifeguard is there,
I don't know, that might be more liability,
that would be an insurance question.
but
That'd be an insurance question of what that looks like.
I would think it'd be liability. Should be a lifeguard and have responsible.
I think I think it would be a liability if something happened and there was no lifeguard.
Not as it says, I wrote a rest there, right?
That's very true. But then you could, talking about potentially a child's life.
What I heard was we had like, and you can probably advise us, we had lifeguards, there were questions about the insurance, if we had coverage. Yes, there was a decision made by the board to lifeguards at some point in time, that's a lot.
Yeah. Correct. It sounded like it was an all or nothing.
Yeah.
Is it possible to say lifeguards are on duty, but you're still swimming at your own risk? I don't know if that's,
That's legally insurance question.
We could take it back to the. There was a
because especially in the summer, I'm sure we'll get a couple of high school kids, be more than
Yeah,
happy.
I hear your point, but I think it's a liability.
No, I hear you. But
Then the 7 and 9-year-old, mom's
No.
sitting there.
that's very true. But also, I've been going to our pool every other day for 3 to 4 hours. There are so many younger children whose parents are sitting up there, and they're just having a great old time. Thankfully, in Island Village, they're very polite, and there hasn't been a problem. And they're cognizant and respectful of everybody in the pool. But I've also seen children who look to be about 9 years old, groups of them trying to get in. But obviously, are not residents. Because they're being sneaky, trying one. Oh, that one's not working. Nobody's looking at us. We can't sneak in. Let's go try the other one. Oh, again, they're looking at us.
That goes back to the monitor, right? Security.
Well, and right now, there's only one monitor in the morning for the whole town.
Oh, no, I get it.
We need this.
Like I said, by us, it hasn't been so crowded in the mornings and people are aware. They see children trying to get in. They don't confront them, but they keep their eye on them. So they're like, okay, we just can't sneak in. They see we're doing this that we're not supposed to. And if we do, somebody will call. Right.
Okay, so let's dig into this monitor piece and then I'm gonna have us come back to the signs and the shirts real quick. Because I think we can propose those from the next months. If you were to divide up or monitor, and again, I'm not sure how to put this. North Village would be one. Lakeside would be another. East Village. East Village would have Heritage Hall and the Circle Pool, right? Am I missing anything else?
You're talking about that. Or you, so
Like if we wanted a monitor to kind of,
what you would probably want to do is you would do Island Village, Spring Lake, and Spring Park.
Mhm.
Those 3 locations are probably the quicker to get, the closest, yeah, to go around.
okay, so that's area 1, let's just call it.
Yes, area 2 would be North Village, Lakeside, East Village. Then you can also have them kind of overlap if you want to have conflicts. So
I think we need to break it up more than that. That's a lot of area.
When I was a monitor there in the summer, we did break it up. We didn't have Island Village, so Island Village, it could
Not to be held.
20 to 30 minutes.
And also keep in mind, phase 2 is not completed yet. There's gonna be a much larger pool there too.
Exactly.
That's not close.
So how we
At the meeting?
How we did is we had to, because of the summer,
No, no,
we just
no,
had
no.
COVID, so we had to clean, we had to spray, I don't know if you guys remember that. We had to spray the pool deck. So how we broke down the town was North Village, Lakeside, East Village. Then it was Spring Lake, it was Heritage, and then it was the complex and the dog park. Because you had to, that's how we did with just two. So last was two of us. That would be 2 a.m, 2 at night. That's because we had to spray. Good. But it was like an hour and a half. So
Okay, but can't you do with the two and have signage there and get a dedicated cell phone, whoever's doing that? If someone sees something going on it wherever you are, you can follow that person on duty and have them come.
So when I got the call, the city called me and said, hey, I have 50 kids over here at Spring Lake, you rush over. I'll go over there. 50 kids, they're stopped. Okay. Phone's ringing, I'm trying to talk to you, say, okay, can I see your ID? Hey, I have a dog in North Village. Can you please come over? I'm still dealing with you. So it's like, once I'm done with you, then I'm dealing with this. What helped us was we had the two, because I was saying, okay, hold on a second. Hey, you're over there, can you please go over there and check this
Right.
out?
Yeah.
So it does.
They're never gonna have a perfect system, you understand?
You never know what you're getting into. But this town is so spread out. I can't be here.
Right.
Where I have issues there. And then when I leave, they don't have that choice.
But, and I agree, but we also can't afford to have to monitor each place either.
Exactly.
So we've got to figure out something happen to be.
So the phone does not work unless we have, because it's mostly pranks. And that's why at one time we used to get out of work.
Pranks or people just being,
Well,
just being.
Well, sometimes pranks, because you say 50, I'm over there. Or there's a dog in the field. Somebody's driving a motorcycle at Spring Park over the field this year, I'm rushing over there. There's no, because they want to see how long we took us to get over. So this is what happened.
You're never gonna stop the crazy.
Okay. So that's why we stopped the phone. So me personally, as farm manager, the phone never. Because that's why I
Alright, so-
told every house.
So if someone that did it, what would you do?
What's that?
What would be your answer? What would be your answer to it?
To me, I always thought I split the town in half. One here, one there, that helped. That's what helped us this summer. So when we got done with the whole pandemic and we're back to one again, then that's when the problems happened, because not only am I dealing with the residents, I'm also dealing with part of the program, I'm also dealing with the renters.
It's a lot.
And everybody's talking at once. This is how it is. If they can get a hold of me, they're calling me, because I give my rentals this number to call. You have issues at your pool. I'm fixing your problem. You have issues at your pool. We're not close. Your pool is at Notting Village. Here's what I know from. I rent it from here. Our program, CCFC. So we did more, we had your half here, my half there.
Makes sense.
So that's
Is that salt or is it pulp?
nothing's gonna solve.
No,
No, this town is, it's not gonna solve. Unless the only way it's gonna solve, and it's gonna be too expensive, is have one person here, one person here, one person here. I mean, I hate that we did that when the pandemic happened, because the town hall was closed. We opened up the pool, each of us, the town hall had a station there, because we had to make sure, we had 20 empties full, we had to make sure we closed down that pool in an hour to spray. That was the first time we opened back up. You're there, you're at North Village, you're at Lakeside, you're at Spring Park, that's what we were, because I didn't count. Oh, yeah.
How much of the issue is the pool? Let's just focus on the pool. How much of people sneaking in? Is that a huge? A huge. So, I mean, you hate to, you don't want to look at it, maybe get a pretty version about how many people have been in New York City. When you go in the subways, it's just a one-way revolving door. You can't hold the door open and let people in.
Exactly.
So, I mean, maybe you have to look at something that's just a one-person entrance at a time. You can't have it, there's no gate to hold open.
Well, the lifeguard is impossible, I know you got a comment too.
Or maybe monitors who are CPR trained, just in case.
Yes, also, but, to chime in on what Danny was saying, for example, we have like 2 partner programs, 3 actually in the room that do have. And I know Darren And, I know sometimes when you're trying to get a hold of park monitor, it's very difficult to, because they're driving around. So I do would point that out there, because I know sometimes they text with Don, if they don't get a response, they text me. So it's not a problem, it's just they're driving around. Another option is, mandatory security. They do give out their, cell phone. So let's say we do have an officer or property, you call them, it goes directly to their hotline, and then they can send another officer out. So that's kind of another perk about having like security, maybe over a like additional park monitor. Park monitors, is it more monitoring, like birthday parties, is it more monitoring the recreational programs? Or is it monitoring, like pro IDs? Like as a resident, would you rather see a 19-year-old check your ID, or would you rather see a retired law enforcement be more enforceable? So that's just something to figure out as residents, what would you like to see?
How long have we had Mayberry? Is that a new, what's pretty?
We changed from Apex, I think.
Yeah, it's been.
What's the general thought about it? Is it do anything?
It's, I think, like 60,000 a year-ish, as I recall. Well, we also have a tri-party agreement with the sheriff through CBD and Lexington. But that's only like for, I think, brief period, so it's not like full property coverage.
And maybe it's not full either, it's just for the weekends, it's like Friday, Saturday, Sundays from like 7 to 2.
The one thing I would say too, if there's an optimal staffing model that you all are thinking of, or even if you've already thought about that, we're getting ready to get into budget season, right?
Right.
So I don't know what 851 is gonna look like with an operating perspective, because we're pretty much out of it. We have a few people in there right now. I don't know if electric gonna come down, AC, I don't know. So there may be some recovery there through the operating program. We could potentially bring in lifeguards or park monitors. I don't know. But what I would say is if you've identified, you two, from a Parks and Rec perspective, the staffing model, and you want to put that out there, we can talk about it. And then from there, if finance says, yeah, not bad, then we can keep kind of ratcheting it down. I mean, that's food for thought, right? If you want to start there, certainly talking.
It's definitely a desire by the community. I mean, to your point, 14 out of 33 have to do with that, and our 10% actually call out park monitors. It's a pretty good survey of what those are looking for. So I think a staffing model is good. I know from a park monitor, one of the things that I always forget about, but it's more than monitoring. So I always think, we'll get a park monitor. That's not what they do. There's a lot of setup, there's a lot of tear down, there's a lot of coming to a call, those types of things. That, I mean, just to be honest, that's something I forget about when I think of staffing. So I just kind of want to raise that up. Lori, I want to make sure we all talk about it. I want to make sure you have a chance to say something too, because I really want your input as well.
No, basically, what we were talking about, the security and the monitoring and the signage, we can put a lot of signage, but if we don't have like the monitor or the follow-up or set, it's, it like goes one with the other one. And definitely, I know it's true that a lot of young people are rude, or kids are very rude,
In general.
So definitely, I think retired law enforcement or an older looking people will make more sense that, yeah, she's a girl, I know her, she's gonna let me in, or I know who's in, in that pool today, so that basically. And mostly that we could consider increase in peak season, maybe summer, more monitors or more division than in winter or cold months. I know it's Florida. We always have a day or two during the week to go to the pool, but summer here, it's crazy. Yesterday,
Shouldn't be as many kids trying to sneak in.
yeah, I was walking here with my baby and I saw one kid put a soccer ball from the lawn all the way to the pool through the roof. And I was like, he wasn't even seeing who was in the other side. And there were babies and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, that could have been gone so wrong. So yeah, definitely in summer or spring break, or, more than me, like the peak season here, but yeah.
The other thing too, and these are all really great points. I don't like throwing staffing. I think staffing is obviously it increases costs. People can quit also, right? That's the reality, right? There's turnover and then what? And then the pools aren't supervised. So there has to be some combination of technology too, right? Technology with staffing, balancing it out, because what you said is perfect, right? If we want to staff it up for the summer, and we don't have it staffed up, technology would be a great way to fall back on that, whether that's the cameras or then we've got the Gallagher system. I don't know what's been going on with that. And then we've got ONR. So we have a lot of bits and pieces of technology out there, but how do you bring it together to fix this, to solve for this? So I think this is good discussion, but again, and I'll stop talking, but I have the discussion now, bring it to us now about the staffing, because we're getting ready to start kicking off the budget discussions. So put it out there. The worst we can say is no.
Yeah, I would think if we could get a proposed example staffing model that would, I think it's gotta be a mix. I think we should go back to lifeguard again, if possible, for certain places, maybe not every pool, but Heritage and Lakeside maybe. Those, I think we should look at security, and I think we should look at park monitor. I feel like it's not a one size fits all.
But we've got to start somewhere.
Yes, we'll see what that looks like. So that takes care of one. I'm gonna have us go to what a sign would look like and the shirt/signs for authorized pro and partners doing that. And then I kind of want to come back to the enforcement of what that looks like, and we'll see how far we get time-wise. So let's take the easy one first. The shirt/signage for pro authorized instructors. How do we, I'm actually gonna ask my partner first, how do you feel about that?
We've already implemented the signs,
Okay.
lost a few already, but we'll replace those. The shirts are a bit of a challenge for us, just because, I mean, even very economical shirts, weather like this, we're going to 3, 4, 5 shirts a day.
That's fair.
So that can be a bit of a challenge, but not saying it's off the board. I can look into it and, I mean, maybe worst case, the pin badges that, at Disney or country club, something like that, we can certainly implement that.
That's great.
Or some kind of
So,
lanyard.
We've seen. Yeah, that's it.
So, Nina Schwitter's Aqua Yoga, and it's been 3 years. So a game changer for my class has been the sandwich board. One side says approved by the town, the other side says Aqua Yoga with the times. I drag it over, put it up, it's there, it has eliminated questions, problems, everyone goes over, looks at the sign. And I have gotten 0 pushback from residents because the sign, the big sandwich board is out there. They can see it, they can read it, they don't ask me questions. And then I go over and thank them, and they don't interrupt the class.
Where do you store it?
In my car, in my garage.
That was great. Okay.
So, and it's been great, but it has been a game changer. My problem with the shirt, I wear a special hat, my brim's really big. And then my shirts are sunscreen shirts, they have to be 50 plus. So, it's not about a t-shirt or anything, and we're moving around. So I can't have anything really around my neck. But the big sign has eliminated any problems with residents coming up and not knowing what's going on. It's been great. And I haven't run out in an hour or a half an hour early before my class and put it up.
Do you feel like it worked with tennis?
I mean, we've sort of had sandwich boards with, read for different purposes, rules on it, 1 hour limit, supposed to wear, supposed to have kind of eat, all that kind of stuff. I don't think people have a problem. Most of the residents who move around has know our staff. It's not hundreds of us, it's know the same 3, 4 faces. They potentially see other issues. And not necessarily issues with our teaching times so much as issues with how all the courts are laid full. And, you know, it's same as everything, it seems to go in crazy cycles. I'm going out there on a Tuesday afternoon, it should be pretty quiet. You know, we've got our programs going on. For some reason, there's 5 people waiting. You go out the following Tuesday and it's a ghost town. And, you know, I'm just going, I don't know.
It's a nine-month sentence, if you go around and monitor.
Yeah, it is. The cancer would say why, the truth is like everybody tries business, same day. So I don't feel like our, you know, anything that has a problem. You know, we're happy to put up the signs, as much as everybody maybe, you know, new hot monitors, they don't know us, but most of the time they'll come over and introduce themselves or just, hey, are you in the bench tennis? Yes, we are. Okay, great, thank you. And then we're on to the next one. But yes, I mean, we have certainly had an issue with very much non-teaching people and.
I think that's what we were trying to solve for.
Yeah.
Because the park monitor knows, but I don't know. So if there's someone who goes, oh yeah, I'm with Advantage Tennis, then I'm on back court screaming about Advantage Tennis because they told me they were with Advantage Tennis and they're really not with Advantage Tennis, and I don't know any different. So that was what we were trying to solve for, is how to stop those people from saying it, because it's one thing from a park monitor perspective, it's another thing from a town perspective, right? What they think perception is of it. And that's what I don't know how to solve for yet. Marco, you're in the back. So you're seeing much farthest back there, but yeah, what do you think?
Can I get a question again to make sure I understand correctly? Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so the question is, we were originally talking about shirts or visors or a sandwich board or a carabiner board. How do we help the town recognize who the approved partner program is? So that if your team is out there teaching soccer, I go out there and I try to teach soccer and I say, I'm with your program now. And so now the town thinks there's this new coach under Margo who has no idea what she's doing and is trying to teach.
So our coach has the coach in the back or different jerseys, and you can see the fields coaches, head coach, and assistant coach, 3 per fields or 3 per class, depending on that. And everybody who show up there is welcome. Doesn't matter if you're part of the program or not. If you show up there and have no idea, want to play soccer, we join you. Or having fun with other kids, or playing as an adult, adults and ladies, whatever. If you show up there during my time, you play soccer, no matter what. Of course, if I have a game or a PSL game or league game, you can. But if I have pickup or just a class for the kids, it's nice. All of our coaches have the coach jersey, cheaper for the kids, so all the kids have the uniforms, the purple one. So it's very easy to identify the kid who doesn't have uniforms. You go to them, talk to the parent, talk to the kids, and explain he's welcome to piano practice, but if you want to be part of the program, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's,
So you're a
all your uniform is very, and like anyone to show up there, they know they are there, they know the field, you know, but it's very easy to identify.
Yeah, and that works, because that works for town and for partners, that guy's.
It's not a citizen issue.
Okay.
So each group has their own
Needs.
Which is the problem?
Which is the problem. Can't do something.
It's all.
Yeah.
One of the thoughts, partly to do with, you know, shared sign, is to do with, kind of over time with everything we're talking about, in terms of wrong with accessing. This might be picked up left field and thrown out. Obviously, we're not a country club, but there's certain similarities. And obviously, you go into a country club, and I'm friends, directors of the country. That director runs the tennis program. He's got a little tennis shop or a little base or something. And he can obviously want to, somebody comes on the tennis court that shouldn't be there, you're out. Okay, you know we have access to the high school tennis courts. He's a high school coach there. So I have keys, I have access. You can't believe how many people come in there, climb over the fence that's locked, and try to use the field. Well, I go over and I'm like, you know, now, I said, I've got the trigger, let's go down the show. I can call them right now and they will evict you. You know what I mean? Because I'm authorized by the athletic director to do that. I'm not asking because we run into some problems, but I do, whenever I'm on Lakeside, I do travel to one of the summer problems. Constantly go, hey, I can't get caught, those people have been on there for 2 hours. Problem is, of course, I don't have authority on terms of town hall, then to go down and say, you can get 2 hours, you need to be happy. Is there an area where we could possibly, I mean, cool people, they're doing swim lessons, they're doing their program. You know, can somehow we extend what we're allowed to do? Of course, now we're going into a very legal aspect. We need to know it's all about having rules and rest of it. Like when we're having these adult tennis pros going down there, and then they're saying, well, I'm a resident. I'm not. Well, there's got to be defined rules somehow that can be enforced. So just throwing something out there just for food for thought.
And also, as we say, it prevents bad people to be teaching or the courts or on the soccer fields. We had a nightmare in the past when the were open for everybody. There's a lot of, that's like this. They're living like a dream right now with the monitor, Jason, Price and Banks out there. It's making people to do their own thing on the fields, helping them out. So partner is something that really nice and very glad to be a part of.
And I know if you gave us like a special, ID to your point, that said that we're staff,
Authorized person.
right, an authorization of some sort. Because when I go up, we get, well, I'm a resident, well, that doesn't say that I can do whatever I want, but we try to protect the amenities just as much as the town does. I mean, we see ourselves as representatives, but I have nothing to kind of back me up on that. So if you
I think
take it up,
it would be a mix of both.
yeah,
Because I know we talked about in a previous meeting, a lakeside security person that was there early and there later, because I don't want you there at 6:30 when Dory's has 25 people playing pickleball there. That shouldn't be on you, that should be on the security person with that authority to do that. But then if they're off lakeside by 9:30 freaking time, then you guys are there and then you have that authority that would maybe take it a little bit later till you go home, because you should go home. And then you have, that security person back there, because I think we need it at basketball, I think we need it at the pool, and I think we need it at the tennis court, and that little bubble within the bubble needs its own little love and, extra enforcement.
and it would be nice if the enforcement people, whoever it is, right, monitor or security guard, knows that we'll call them. So that would be our job. Do you know what, I mean, we can protect the asset. If we have someone who calls.
And you do not
Right,
exactly.
because if I call Nikki or Danny, they could be in a meeting and they'll not get the message for another 2 hours. Meanwhile, everything has gone crazy.
Absolutely.
I think the park monitors have park monitor security back because they're just thinking,
Yeah.
they're not, it's respecting them as well.
We can have a card, we can have a T-shirt. Right now, fields are okay because we have a park towards very often for that, but we can have a card, we can have whatever you want. If the troublemaker is there, want to face you, I'm paying this bill, I'm paying for this shirt, I want to play this right now. They can have whatever.
That's when you call.
Yes, did you call, sometimes, even, or kids that has problem with that.
Security versus monitoring, because I think it's something which, and those shirts are always saying, whatever color they are. Security, because I think they're gonna listen to them more and just say, you're trespassing, I'm gonna, like, he said, call 911 and the sheriff will be here.
Right, they are using this stuff. They have a stuff with that. It's easy to identify as well. But if we have trouble with.
Yeah. That's a very bright color, like you were saying, I think that's a great idea, so that when they walk towards whoever's not supposed to be there, they automatically go, up. Yeah,
Like car would be nice, like.
I better have my card.
Car.
And
Because.
Yes. again, you can Google tennis courts near me and soccer field near me.
Yeah.
The celebration pops up all the time, so, and a lot of people don't know that they're not going to public unless they really.
Not everybody's evil. Yeah, some people are just coming to play and they don't.
Two signs on the gates, of course, CFC complex, two signs, like for a private property, and down, it would be.
If you want to look at, I mean, obviously, not being gated, right, is one thing that probably drives some of this, but if you looked at other properties, other communities that are similar, I guess, in terms of not having gates and having amenities out there, I'd imagine this is not like a unique scenario. And so, I mean, what are other communities doing? I can't imagine it's sustainable to have a park monitor in every single amenity, but what are they doing, right? I guess that's, I mean, have you all looked at that? Looked at other comparables?
So some of the spots I've seen, it was gated.
So, but they're not
It's gated, like the tennis courts were gated.
Yeah,
But how about,
So I think they're not gated, so they just have kind of a security guard.
Yeah.
There's not at least front monitor, they're not just security.
well, with Nikki, how about Grand Managers? You guys are all over the
Right.
place. Can you reach out to other people and see what they do?
There's the properties like that, and let you know what's going on, 'cause I know they don't have the recreational.
Okay.
Okay.
But they've got amenities, right? And it's
Yeah,
not,
of course.
again, I think that the fact that we're not a gated community probably sets us up for some different things. But you have tons of properties out there, or even ones that aren't Grand Managers, right? I drive through whatever, like Windermere. And like there are the playgrounds are open, like, you know, there are just things like over in Irons Creek. Right, so I mean, there has to be some comparables out there that we can look at and figure out. You know, before we start going staffing or technology and all these solutions, what are other communities doing? And then we take it back and then measure it against Celebration. And this is a quick conversation, but.
No, but to your earlier point, we are under a bit of a time crunch, that if we are gonna go this route,
Yep.
we need to be able to, not that it is the solution, but it does put us. in a bit of a
Well, I
ways.
think the idea of giving,
Hybrid.
yeah, I agree, definitely, but giving the people who are there, who are authorized to be there, more authority to say, hey, sorry, you gotta go,
Yeah,
is an amazing first step.
yeah, so I wrote ideally in the morning, first thing early would be security, then part of our program authorized monitors, then security again in that twilight evening hour, and then you have evening security, everything's closed. And they're
That's a
doing the
great
normal
idea.
rounds type thing, so that's what that would be. The only thing that doesn't solve for, that was addressed in the post-its, were how do I, as a resident, it gets back to the complaint in this particular case, that Advantage Tennis has 4 of the 5 courts, let's say. And that's because people are saying they're with Advantage Tennis and they're not. And it's
So
so,
they would have authorized identification.
yeah,
Well,
what
they
does that
wouldn't.
look like?
Well, but the coach should do, not the players.
True.
Are you referring to the players or the coaches?
I'm referring to coaches.
Oh, you are.
I'm not an authorized coach.
So then you don't get that.
And I say I'm with Advantage Tennis.
And right now you're giving my coaches like, that's the battle. Can you make that something like a advantage tennis pass, key pass?
I like the carabiner on the, because it's flat, it's not big to put in your trunk, in this case, ideally someone can have it in their glove compartment. And it's just on 2 carabiners, and it works for tennis in this particular case, because it's on the fence. So you just clip it on, and when I walk by, I know, and if someone, if I go, yeah, I'm an authorized coach, and they go, where's your sign? Oh, I left it at home, well, then I have to ask you to get on.
The sign is a great idea, but I think they still should have something that they could put in their wallet, like a celebration ID. It says authorized.
But would you show that to your resident?
Somebody who challenges you, yeah, yes, I am authorized, and you can take it out and show them.
Yeah,
I think yes, let's say, yeah, for example, you're going for this, he has 5 coaches, 2 of them. That pass was identical, so like I can't change it as alcohol, that's the problem.
Well,
You can't.
I can take that one color.
Can he
No.
have, give the pass to the person who's there every day? Would you mind? Okay, so someone's here, here's your pass for the day.
Well, wouldn't the sign have something?
Yes.
I mean, like I said.
That's what it was.
These small signs.
So I think the sign.
Well, bags, you know, that kind of solved that sort of temporary, like I said.
And what happens if that person just leaves, he doesn't turn?
Well, those signs technically stayed in our trailer storage.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't. That's.
That's okay.
Basically, we did a sign.
Yeah, so we talked about, you know, the sign hanging on the fence, that happened, and trust me, I've got tennis balls, out, that should, or two tennis on the fence, so that sign on the fence is going to get forgotten all fast, you know, so I was trying to find somewhere that's just the teaching bag that they were carrying. And
Everybody's all paid 10 cents. They're all these small color things.
I'm just.
That's okay. Let's wait a second. We've got 24 minutes left and we still need to talk about rules that we're going to try to finish. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that one thing that is if you get. You know what I mean, because there's some.
Because then they know who the people are.
Yeah, so you have to.
Okay, let's try this out. And then if not, we'll go back to the drawing board. Okay. All right, so that takes care of that one. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm just hang on.
That's okay.
Let's get it. Okay. The other one is, more signage for all amenities, including rules, hours, and code of conduct. We don't have that.
This specified.
So what about some signs that were originally up that had to come down, they go back up? And like the apron.
Oh.
That's,
Yeah.
let's see, but how.
I mean, for all the rules we have, like before you walk in, it's the hours of operation, and there's a trespass statute, rules, the gyms have rules. The playgrounds, like we'll have like, that says like residents only, you know, it's, I think this would need to be a little bit more specific.
A little
Like, I
larger,
mean, because we do have, sorry.
a little larger maybe, because I have to tell you honestly, I never noticed the sign. Never noticed it.
So somebody explained to us about what, that's a good example was, you have the sign, you can see it. Because if they come out that door, but they go into this door, they don't see that sign.
Also, this, that's the close on the gate, people swing. On it too. So
Yeah.
It's really, no matter how many signs we have.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, because like I said, I look, and I never noticed it. I know the rules,
So maybe it's
Right.
the replacement. signs.
Maybe. Or are they like this big, or are they this big? They're huge.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll show you this one. You remember?
No, but on the code of conduct, on the partner programs, I was very surprised. Partner programs submit their code of conduct.
Yes, they do.
I think we should tell them what the code of conduct is, you know, no loud music. That they have to sign off on, you know, rather than creating what they think is for our amenities. What we should present to them to sign what we think the code of conduct is.
So we make it more uniform.
Yeah, so you're correct, when it comes, it's basically like a child's code of conduct or an athlete's code of conduct we asked for. I think it's great that we can put it in our scope of work, so when they create it, updating it, they can include it, so when they sign a contract, you're inside there, sign the code.
And you could have those, I don't know if you do, I can't remember if it's, but even if you're talking about, it's Victoria's, the rules and regulations for them to read and initial each one so that they know. So even though it may be on the sign, they know fresh in their minds each season that here's the rules and regulations, here's the code of conduct, sign on, sign.
I think a lot of this though too was in regards to residents. So if the kids are going to the pool and jumping in the fence, to her comments, I mean, a lot of what she said is where a lot of this is stemming from. So if someone can't enforce, they can point to see that sign that says, don't you dare, you know, whatever.
Anything that goes out to the residents, like sign waivers, to be able to use the gym.
Correct.
You can send something out and
There's been like a deja vu with dog parks, it's already done, back to the day. We made rules and regulations for the dog park, owners. And it's like, if you violate this, this is like level 1, level 2, level 3. And then, if they violated it, they have to go to a committee meeting. And to determine whether the pass has got deactivated or not. That's something I know all, that goes to somebody who is someone me, you just change it to recreations.
Okay. All right, so maybe that wasn't as slow hanging as I thought. A grocery
you
dream.
never know.
Okay. So we should probably put that up a little bit more. We can do that. If everybody can kind of just bring their proposed of what that looks like to the next meeting, and I'll put that in an email, then we'll pick our favorites out of all of them and put it together.
Importance priority.
Yeah. All right. That took care of monitors on the first one. Whether it's the staffing model overall or the lakeside models. We took care of enforcement of signage. We took care of signage / have a recognized and authorized instructor. We didn't talk about any fences. We didn't talk about security. We didn't talk about the app because I don't have the info and I'll have to get more with the tech committee on that. And then we'll set up a powwow with the special events committee for the IDs and with the tech committee for the app.
If it matters, we had a communications technology joint workshop a week or so ago.
Okay.
ONR is still in pilot, but it's supposed to be rolled out soon. Have you heard anything?
Well,
It's been a while for us.
we looked for celebration in a way, so I know there's certain things that still working on. That's what I'm saying, the facilities and everything is uploaded, is so, like, as far as that, it's difficult to. Create or oversee it, so it's just a list instead of like a factors. We would like to be able to run reports on the systems as well, which don't have worth of on insurance, we can run reports, so as a committee, can you want to do audit and.
Yeah.
We can at least verify what we let.
So then the only other thing I'm gonna say, is in regards to enforcement, the penalty, the tiered penalty system for not adhering to the rules and regulations. I think that's kind of the same thing. Everybody can kind of go home, write what they think that would look like, and then we'll take the best out of whatever it has. But that, I mean, it was overwhelming how the community felt like you can do whatever you want because there's no crime for the, no punishment for the crime. And that's really what it boiled down to on that. That kind of takes us through.
And then as far as the, and there's that big, which have, you want me to do like 3 different phases.
Yeah.
This, there's a price.
Yeah, because Ro's gonna say, that looks great, but what's it gonna cost me?
Yeah.
Good for you. What does that mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, obviously, the cost is an issue. Is it feasible, is it smart to ask the residents, would you be willing to help kick in?
I think we have to see what they're kicking in towards. What do I get for it?
Well, exactly, but say,
And then how
I
much?
feel
do I
that
have to
this is
pay?
good, but exactly, that's what I'm
If we told
saying.
everybody it's $10 more a year, but you're gonna get a free park.
If it was $100,
20%.
pay it right.
Are you gonna go for $10? You betcha. For $100?
See, 100, so I would personally go for,
Right, but
to keep it safe, yeah,
so I think that's what we got.
because that's $10, less than $10 a month.
Yeah.
I once heard. Ooh, long time. Just had some thought. How many churches in town? 4 or 5 churches with like land activities stuff going on. You know, you're kind of trying to fix band-aids with kids jumping this, kids doing this, they're over here. I wonder if you could ask, partner with churches to say, hey, what about a youth night on a Wednesday, one church does Wednesday, one does a Tuesday, one does a Monday.
Don't they already
And
have?
they try it, and if the churches have access to either of their own playgrounds, activities, I mean, our church doesn't. We have a huge auditorium, they'll have a game night, they've got basketball hoops outside, it's not officially a basketball court. But of course, and the churches want the kids in.
Good
And
idea.
therefore, it's just something where now we've got somewhere for the kids to go. And now you're hopefully slowly changing the whole culture over the years, not necessarily just fixing the Band-Aid problem right now.
Catholic Church has this PYO. They do have it, and the other church downtown does have it. But I don't think it's predominantly out there in the community, because you all haven't heard of it. So they both have those two big
I think
churches.
you guys can connect with them and say, hey, we need your help.
And advertising.
Could we do this together?
And that's like a phase 2 of this, because Celia is very passionate about creating youth programs in town and partnering with other people. And almost like you're part of the celebration youth group rather than the church youth group, and do that type of thing. And that got reposted like youth programming. So, and Nikki has started to explore that through the Green Manor, so it's coming just further down the line. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a really very good idea.
Do we have any other comments?
No,
One that may be totally off topic, but with the master plan, maybe we can talk to them now that phase 2 with Island Village is being built, put higher fences in. Because I know we have 3-foot fences that won't keep diddly squat out. I can jump them and I'm 64. They come up to here on me, except for the gates, which are 5 foot. So
I'll add that to what goes.
that really needs to be changed.
You're talking Island Village, right?
Excuse me?
You're talking Island Village, right? Yeah, anybody can jump over. Yeah,
I mean, a 5-year-old can climb it. Yeah, it's,
yeah.
and I brought it up to Lauren in the very beginning, just after it got turned over. And we still weren't even allowed to use the pools yet. She's like, well, that's the way it is. I'm like,
That's very shit.
okay. Why can't we
It's
fix it?
not an island village river, it's happening in Ukiah, West Ukiah, all the other people around, people jumping those banks.
Like I grew up in New York. And our backyard pools, our private backyard pools had to have 5-foot to 6-foot fences. Otherwise, you were in severe trouble. The pools at the community pools, which we frequented all the time, had 12-foot height fences. And you could only go in because it wasn't a community park. Right, you could walk in anytime you wanted, there's no gates, I mean, not for the problems of the home, but at least in the pools and the tennis courts, anything, they were gated off, like, there's no way in the world unless you brought a ladder, like, you were getting in there.
Charles, would they entertain the idea of, as Victoria and Mickey was sort of saying, if they buy a ladies, like a 9-year-old or 7-year-old, don't do that. Okay, and this woman here was nervous, for example, that they could cut off access to the parent's ID for all amenities if the children.
And like I said, it was right.
Well, that could be figured out, but again, I am worried that, some of these kids that are jumping the fence becomes a big thing, and then we're saying, and I don't want all park monitors to get in trouble, because everyone, they're spread so thin. Is that something that could be, the Parks and Rec should, and then put it out there in the Friday flash and say, hey, we have a problem here. We are worried about the safety of our children. They're jumping the fence. And if your child jumps the fence and we get the name of who it is, and Dan goes over there and says, sees, 2 little 7-year-olds in there swimming without any, and
I think it's a great idea. I think everything we're talking about, there's no teeth, right? There's no teeth until you put them in front of a tribunal, right? Like covenants. I'm not saying we can put these in front of covenants, but there should be some form of
assume that, you said there was a committee that previously heard these? Like,
The dog parks, yeah, so.
okay, so you have a resident committee or someone for what, so one, you have the code of conduct, right? No, it's a code of conduct, that's that. When you violate the code of conduct, then you've got the park monitors, then reporting it to a committee, but someone that has to hear these, right? You have to come before them, present the case. And then it goes to the board, almost like the same as covenants and appeals. So absolutely, I think it's.
And maybe give the
I
fine
think it's
decision.
it's the key. It has to have the key.
There's no,
And that's just a resolution. I mean, we can pass that tomorrow. We just write it up, we send it to the attorney, as long as it's not
For
discriminatory.
the safety, well, these kids are the ones.
I fully agree. I think that's. And honestly, Dory, what you said about the pickleball, right, and people coming over and, you know, just kind of going crazy on the tennis court, it's not only that, your business case too, is it's going to increase the acceleration rate of, we just resurface these tennis courts, right, not to.
Right.
So you want a business case? Bring that before the board, right? We need staffing because if we don't staff it and we don't put a code of conduct, we're gonna cost more, it's gonna increase X, Y, Z, so you've got a perfect case for us.
Yep.
Right now with that. And again, how do you enforce it? You do the code of conduct, create this. Staffing is just one part. But I think we can go have a great conversation. And I agree with everything you said. And when I heard the dogs and pickleball on the tennis court, I got pretty nervous about it, because I think it's really, it is concerning.
yeah, there's no,
Yeah.
but there's no one, nothing.
Well, we just resurfaced the basketball courts, right? And I saw scooters on there in Food Truck Friday. I see kids doing donuts. So it's costly. It is costly. So what's the cost of having a park monitor there versus having to resurface?
That's where.
Good point.
But so, when something like that happens, like trespassing or with the zeros or whatever, we as a resident need to go there and talk to the kids. I usually go there and talk to the kids.
But it's not your, that's where,
And if you want a better community, we need to help each other on that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Charles, that's 100%. But if each one of us like brings attention to the park monitor or help them to prevent that, or talk to the kids. Last time I was in the parking lot, I just go and say, hey, please stop doing that, it's not nice, it's a bad choice. Talk a little bit, coaching the kid like 5 minutes, 3 minutes for them. They understand, and then we easily to them just, yeah. We have right now, at the soccer field, at least 40 or 50 electric scooters that's playing soccer. The kids are, it's reality, we need to do something for the future, maybe to understand the needs and do something because it's happening.
you want to get 7 people on the same page, tell us the costs are going up for having to replace the basketball courts again and the tennis courts again. You'll get 7 people aligned real quick. And if the cost of putting a lifeguard in is whatever, $15,000, or putting a park on it at $15,000, but also it's gonna cost $15,000 to have to resurface the basketball courts again.
Nikki, you've been around here enough, long enough, with CCMC and tell it openly in front of everybody, what's repercussions ever that we have ever done to kids doing vandalism or anything? Nothing, exactly nothing. If you live in a gated community, you know what happens? Even the parents, nobody gets to use the facilities. Where your, kid does something, you're responsible for your child. So there has been zero since I've lived here of repercussions, no matter what they do in town or whatever. So, and you have to be careful, like I was saying, Bert, yeah, you can have somebody wear a shirt that says security, but be very careful if they lay a hand on somebody's kid. Because you can see that if you go out there, this lady starts to yell at the kid goes home and says, so they yelled at me. The first thing they go to is back porch. And then they go, call you guys. And it's all over like you are the bad guys. So I mean, it's gotta be addressed, but it's gotta be addressed in a certain way.
Which is why I like the idea of having a partner program, because at least there's some contracts somewhere, some way that the town has some
So if you all, you between your department and your committee and whoever you want to help volunteer to do a workshop on that. And I can address each of those, as Charles was saying. I think that's a big first step that I think people will really appreciate.
And I think that's why it's number 2. First of all, we need someone to enforce it, right? That was 14 of them. And then when we're enforcing it, there's cause and effect. That's number 2. So I think it will make the town. It's a start.
I'm going to be responsible for my child's actions. It's gonna stop.
All right, do we have a motion? Okay. With that, we have a motion to adjourn. Second, roll up to the paper. Happy July, everyone.
Mark, we can do that, you know, very much. But it's